Hello everyone and welcome back to another RSL race. We are here in the Netherlands for round 5 of the Tier 2 Championship. Looking at the standings in the Discord, it is very interesting in the top with Pintita in the Haas leading the way. Unfortunately he cannot race tonight. We've only 8 drivers, should have 9 potentially, but we've 8 at the moment. Back 2 in second, only 14 points behind. If a win or a podium today could capitalise and put him back to the top of the charts. Even someone possibly like Essence Acid with a P2 or P1 today, and obviously outscoring P2 or a P1 today for Essence Acid puts him top of the charts, and I think a win for JRR could possibly put him at the top. But we're going to ride on board now with back to Spawn, and we're going to see what his first lap can put him. Behind him we have JRR crossing the line, followed by his new teammate in Alpha SLK 99. He's hoping to impress today. Another new driver today, we have Fateh Goat 200 in the McLaren alongside Imershi, who hasn't had a teammate since Portugal. Both Ferraris racing today. Me and God back in for the first time since Portugal, as it looks like JRR has had a spin, and Yatin has joined as well, so he will jump into the Mercedes there. I think the German driver, I think that's his nationality anyway. As here's back 2 then, going round turn 10, hopefully doesn't get held up by, I think that's Imershi. He doesn't, lets him go through. JRR has been disqualified, and that's crucial now. The man in P4 in the championship and hoping to make good impressions. Obviously finished P3 yesterday, and Fateh has also retired on the run down into turn 11, so that's 2 crucial mistakes there. As back 2 comes to the line with a 1:11.9, not a bad lap. We'll see if Alpha SLK can do much better. He comes around turn 14 now, DRS activated. As Alpha comes to the line, he goes even quicker, just by a tenth behind them. Essence Acid, can he do much better? He comes to the line, it's only a 1:13 flat behind them. Imershi, not the fastest middle sector, but as he comes to the line now, it's going to be just ahead of Essence Acid by only a small bit into P3. Me and God will be next, and he must have had a bit of trouble because he had a very, very poor sector 2. Oh yes, apologies JR, he does have a quali ban actually for the penalty points he picked up in Abu Dhabi. So yeah, he will be starting from the back. That's going to happen. Me and God into the pit lane, so that means next is S8, but I think he has some wing damage there, so he'll probably be into the pit lane. Alpha SLK, he's finished, so I don't think anyone else is on a lap. Jatin on an out lap, and as S8 slams the wall but comes into the pit lane anyway. I'm sure Alpha will also come in and back to the exact same. We hope we started early because we hoped to get as much people in the lobby as we could. Started on time as well, which is very, very unusual of just the league in general, as back 2 I think had a bit of wing damage there, and that could possibly affect him. Imershi I think is went straight for another flying lap there, and just improved on his time with a 1:12.9. We're right on board with Yatin for his first flying lap. He'll be the only person on a flying lap at the moment, only 2 people out on track. We'll see what the Yatin, he's been in the server for a while, see what he can do now on his debut. Heads up now down towards turn 4 or turn 3. Now on the long run down towards turn 7 with lots of twists and turns, the roller coaster section of the track. At 25.3 is his first sector as Me and God comes out on an out lap. You shouldn't run into any traffic at all, Yatin, so it's all about driver skill here at the moment as he heads round turn 9 and into the probably one of the most trickiest corners on the track, turn 10. You don't want to get too close to that curb or you lose complete control of the car. Now the only second DRS straight on the run down into turn 11. You should drop yourself into second gear for this one as you manoeuvre over the curb heading towards turn 12. The fastest sector 2. This could be possibly provisional pole for the Mercedes driver. Is now out of turn 13. A good exit on the run down into the main straight towards the finish line. He goes now. Yatin is going to put his car third fastest, so not a bad lap at all from the Mercedes driver. As back 2 is next to leave the pit lane for another lap, and S8 is also going to come out and set his first lap. Will ride on board with Ian God on his flying lap as he comes around turn 14 and is starting his first flying lap of the session. Still actually hasn't turned on his ERS yet, so it looks like it's going to be a slow lap for the AlphaTauri driver, unless he's just going to take another one to heat up the tyres. As we watch him go through the twisty section now. Bit scrappy, but manages to keep the car well at 25.6, so just a little bit slower than Yatin's time. Around turn 8 and now into turn 9. He's hitting the apexes, he's doing well for himself. The AlphaTauri driver now has turn 10 to manoeuvre. Oh, gets a bit on the curb and runs a little bit wide out of turn 10. That's not going to help his time whatsoever on his run now down and towards turn 11. Still hasn't turned on his ERS. As we watch now on the run down towards the long banked corner of sector 3. What can the AlphaTauri driver do? All he needs to do is set this lap, and he's ahead of Fateh as he opens DRS, heads to the line now, and it's a 1:13.6. It's not something to be very proud of. Back 2 is on a lap, and so too is S8. S8 with a 25.3, so this should put him up and close with Yatin. We'll see what his sector 2 is made of. He has burned almost all of his ERS on his outlap, so that's going to definitely not help his time. And his run now down towards sector 3 and turn 11. It's Essence Acid going slow on his outlap. And Marshi has started his third flying lap of the session, as S8 is now going to go around the banked corner now. And where will he put his car? It's going to be 6th fastest, just ahead of me and God, as back 2 improves on his time and goes on to provisional pole. Essence Acid now starting his second flying lap. ERS is burning and he is on the way. Me and God on his way into the pit lane, and now is starting to use his ERS, so maybe the wrong time to start that. So we'll keep an eye on Marshi, because he is 3/10 up in his time. Now this could be enough just to jump ahead of Yatin and get back up onto the podium places. The McLaren driver was on a podium in last season in Alpine, and he's yet to be on a podium in a McLaren. Can he start at least on the podium tomorrow? Marshi does improves by 7/10 and goes 6/10 clear. That's Essence Acid, who had a bit of trouble, and he's going to have to just hold off and go again. Yatin starting his second flying lap. I don't think anyone else is on a lap. S8 on the way into the pits, back to the same. Essence Acid had a bit of a spin, so at the moment an Alpha is on a flying out lap, so we'll keep an eye on Yatin as he flies through the quick twisty middle sector now, and through turn 7 he goes. It's been it's a brilliant track to watch in Broadcast View Netherlands, just watching the car fly around these small but tight corners. And this lap from Yatin is definitely a lot better than his first one, as he comes to the end of his sector 2 now. It's a 54, so that is going to be 4/10 quicker, and we'll see how much he gains in his sector 3 and whether or not he's able to get back ahead of Marshy, as Me and God has a bit of trouble, I think, with Essence Acid down there at turn 4, as Yatin does improve, but not enough to get ahead of Marshy, who, to be fair for himself, has set a good lap and maybe 4/10 quicker, and he could be on pole, we don't know. Essence Acid is 2/10 down. Oh, loses a lot of the rear end there coming out of that corner, and he has abandoned that lap yet again. Alpha 1/10 up. This should be really more than enough to get onto provisional pole. We'll see now as Essence Acid moves out of the way, and he's on his run now down towards turn 11. Alpha 2/10 up now. This is definitely looking like it's going to be provisional pole, and it's going to be really tough to beat for the likes of back 2. His debut, his Alpine debut, and not only that, but a debut for his RSL career. Alpha comes round the final corner, and to the line he goes, and it's going to be a 1:11.3, an excellent lap to put him on provisional pole. Me and God, he has abandoned his lap, and he has Essence Acid right behind him. Both of these, I think, actually are going on a hot lap now, and Essence Acid's giving himself no time to have a bit of clean air. He goes very deep, and that's not going to help his time, and I'm sure he is just going to back off now. But Me and God, he was only starting his flying lap, so he has no need to let Essence Acid trees 4/10 up, and that's what using ERS can do for you. Me and God should be able to possibly get ahead of Essence Acid, the 2 Ferraris of SA and Essence Acid, possibly even get involved with Yatin. Based on finishing P2 last year, you'd expect that from him as he heads now down towards turn 11. He has set the fastest sector 2, it says. I actually forgot what I was checking the chat there, so I don't know how much he's up in his time, but we'll see now as he comes around turn 14 and to the line. 5 minutes left of this session, probably the second last lap for Me and God as he comes to the line now. As he has improved a lot, and he's up in the P4. Not a bad lap at all from the AlphaTauri driver, and a lot to improve of from the 2 Ferraris and possibly even the Mercedes of Yatin, as there's a big battle here for P3, and we'll obviously see what is made of the guys battling it out for P1. They're all waiting for the right time to come out at the end. Back 2 has called it early. He is out of the pits. He is ready to get going for his possibly final flying lap. So as Me and God just brings his car back into the pit lane, we've only had 2 retirements. Well, 1 retirement and obviously 1 quali ban to serve for JRR. As Me and God invalidates coming into the pit lane, and he's going to just cruise back. We'll keep an eye on back 2, the only himself and S8, the only drivers on track. But as we look there down at the pit lane, on the track map in the bottom right, Essence Acid's also out on an outlap as well, and it looks like movement as well, and that's just Me and God coming into the pits. Back to getting those tyres warmed up to the best he can, and as he comes around turn 13, he is going to come around the banking and start his final flying lap. So what has back 2 got to improve on this? Can he jump Alpha SLK? If not, Alpha can take a little bit of a breath going into his final lap, knowing that the main threat is gone. So all the pressure is on the Williams driver at the moment as he comes round turn 2 into turn 3 now. Drops it down a second gear, keeps it nice and low and gets up the hill and gets on the power nice and early on the run. Now down towards turn 7, the twisty section of the track. As we watch his car get there, he's almost just equalled his time in sector 1. It's a hard place to improve your time, sector 1, but this is definitely where time can be made in the sector 2, so he needs to try and just settle himself and get some time made here as he heads now round turn 10. looks clean, uses most runoff but doesn't get onto the curb to slow him down. And on his run now down towards the final, he's still only level on his time, so he needs to make up so much time in Sector 3 here. Will he be able to? I don't know. Back 2 now, out of turn 13. Is he going to be able to improve by a mere 5/10 in order to take pole position? Back 2, opens DRS, heads to the line. It's not. He has improved, but not by enough, and it is not going to be enough for pole position. So we'll keep an eye. S8, 4/10 up in his time. Should be able to jump possibly his teammate here as he comes out of Sector 3 now. Turn 13 to go. And Zacid also had a bit of trouble there, I think. Again, he's going to have to abandon that and wait one more time. Everyone out of the pit lane. Alpha is going to stay in the pit lane. He is confident he is going to already have pole. S8 does improve, but only enough for P6, so that's the end of qualifying for him. Acid, no, he is just a 10th up on his time. Possibly not enough to even jump his teammate. We'll see now as he comes out of turn 14. Will it be enough for Acid? DRS opened. Can he improve? He can, but not by enough. A mere 200ths away. Me and God starts his final flying lap. Back 2 on the way into the pit lane. Yatin is also on an out lap. Marshy just under a 10th down, but 1/10 up on his time now. A little bit more time through Sector 3 and he could get himself onto the front row. We'll see what Marshy has to offer now as he comes out of the final turn now. What can Marshy do on his run to the line now? The McLaren driver, DRS enabled. Can he improve? He can, but not by enough. He's actually equalled his time. That is absolutely crazy stuff. S8 is finished. Me and God is 1/10 down, but we can see what he can do through Sector 2 as Alpha and Back 2 are finished. S8 also finished, and Essence Acid, I'm pretty sure, is also 9 seconds down. Me and God now 2/10 up in his time. Possibly could jump Marshy here. We'll see. Out of Sector 3, a lot of pressure on the AlphaTauri driver as he heads around turn 14. DRS enabled. To the line he goes. Me and God. It is going to be P3 for the Alpine or the AlphaTauri driver. Can Yatin do anything about that? He's a 10th up, and as he heads through Sector 3 now, can he be a bit more and get himself onto P3? Is ERS deployed? DRS deployed? And he's not going to be able to improve enough. So close to Marshy, but not enough. So that is qualifying over. Alpha on pole by a mere 4/10 ahead of Back 2, who was 4/10 ahead of Me and God. Marshy's had a almost identical time, and if he had not lost time through the middle sector, he possibly could have stayed ahead of Me and God. He was unable to do so, which meant Me and God finished in P3, Marshy P4. P5 is Yatin with P6, S8, Essence Acid P7, Fateo DNF'd. He's going to start P8 with JRR in P9. That has been the end of qualifying. We'll see there's 2 German drivers on the grid, a few British drivers, an American. We'll see what all these guys have to offer come race day tomorrow. Not much incidents throughout qualifying. Me and God and Yatin, the only guys to use 4 tyres. Back to Marshy and Essence used 3. JRR obviously only used Alpha, and S8 crucially only used 2 sets of soft tyres, which could put in their strategy for tomorrow. We'll have to see. So we'll wait until then. So unlike Monday's race, it's all dry here at the moment, at least. We'll see whether it gets wet or not as the race goes on. See and find out here for the final race of 2022 in RSL. So if we look at the standings just before the race starts, Pentita leads the way with 66 points, 3 podiums to his name and a P4 in Abu Dhabi. Everything else has finished P2, so he's still hunting down his first win despite being top of the championship. Back 2 was hunting down his first win until he got it after a report in Abu Dhabi. Finished P1, jumping JRR, who finished P2. Essence Acid also hunting down the first win. He has 2 podiums to his name and third in Abu Dhabi and France. JRR has only raced twice this season, in Singapore and Abu Dhabi. He won actually both races, but he DNF'd in Portugal, and in Abu Dhabi he lost it from report. J Crow only came in last race, won it with the fastest lap, and unfortunately couldn't race today. The only other person with a podium is Magnus in P6, who finished P3 in Portimao. So as we get the spectator menu stuff up, we'll look at the tyres and what the strategies look like today. Everyone on the medium tyres apart from me and God, I'm Marshy and JRR. It's going to be interesting to say the least as everyone starts their outlap. Hopefully we get a look at the strategy thing that pops up on the screen during the outlap, and we can see what the driver's strategies will be throughout this race. Alpha SLK is going to lead him away in his first race ever from pole position. We'll see if that pole position can turn into a race win at the end of today. As far as the constructors go, probably not one looked upon by much. It's very close, in fact. 3 teams at the top, separated by only 4 points, with Ferrari leading the way. There's our pit stop strategies there. It doesn't show the hard tyre one, but nobody's starting on the sauce. Fateh and JRR has been disqualified. And mediums to hards, you seem to be pitting around lap 12 to 16. So Scuderia Ferrari lead the way in the constructors, with Essence Acid and S8 scoring 68 points combined. Haas have just Pentita, who scored 66, which put them in P2. Williams have just back 2 with 64 points. Well, obviously Random Kitty last time scored 12 points to put them on 64. Then it's Alpine with JRR with a few points, but Alpha could bring home a few today. Then it's McLaren with Marshy, but obviously Hayden taking on that race win in Portugal. Aston Martin with Magnus and B. Anders taking home a few points between them. AlphaTauri have me and God and J Crow, who's taken home also a few points between them. But here we go now, as the cars line up on the grid for the 2nd or the 5th race of the season, and our last race of 2022. Here we go to 5 red lights for the Dutch Grand Prix. It's lights out and away we go. It's a fairly even getaway from the front 2. I think Alpha just got away better. Yatin's got a great start from P3. Marshy's got a great start from P4. He's up into the podium. People spun round. That's me and God at the back. JRR tried to go around. Someone's hit into him. And at the moment, everything seems to be going alright, but a horrible start for me and God on the hard tyres. Marshy, great dive down the inside. Gets himself up into P3 with Yatin also doing the same. He could have caused that incident though. He is up in the P4. Fateh, great start up in the P5. Essence Acid, P6, with his teammate S8 has dropped places to P7. At the moment still, everyone getting away quite evenly, other than me and God, obviously, who's dropped back 7 seconds already. Doesn't seem to be much damage and no DNFs luckily so far, as Alpha SLK leads from back 2 from Imachi, from Yatin, Fateh, Essence Acid, S8, JRR, and then me and God. As we watch, there's not much battles going on, although Yatin seems to be getting quite close to I'm Marshy here. We'll also keep an eye as the top 2 are quite close to each other. Fateh has dropped a bit back from Yatin, which put Essence Acid possibly right on the back of him. As we watch now, as we head around the first lap, and the first lap is finished. Everything's so clean. Marshy almost onto the grass there, as he's probably checking his mirrors there to see where Yatin will go, and he's left himself quite vulnerable here as Essence Acid does get by Fateh into turn 1. Marshy stays clear as JRR gets by SA, who had a bit of a spin. Oh, that's Essence Acid gone round! That's Essence Acid gone round into turn 3. He's going to have to reverse onto the track, but could see his teammate coming here, and his teammates crashed into him, and Me and God's gone into him. It's absolute carnage, and Essence Acid has picked up a penalty for it, an unsafe release onto track, and has picked up 5 seconds for that. Back 2 getting quite close to Alpha, as there's still no safety car for that incident, luckily, as I think Me and God has lost most out of it. Essence Acid trying it. I think he actually did try and get out of the way, let them go down the inside, but has just had S8 go straight into him in a T-bone collision, and that's not going to help them. I thought that possibly could have been iMarshy, but luckily it wasn't. It's S8 now, or Essence Acid has dropped all the way to the back. We watch now for lap 3 as Alpha has got a bit of a gap away from back 2, still just a tenth separating the two. Yatin very close to Marshy this time as they head down into turn 1. It's Mercedes versus Mercedes, McLaren versus Mercedes. Marshy takes the inside line, but Yatin's going to get the better exit as they head down towards turn 2. They're still side by side. It's great racing from the two of them. Marshy's going to back out there and let Yatin go through. I say Essence Acid and Me and God all into the pit, so that means it's going to be a double stack for Ferrari, as Marshy's going to hopefully stay quite close. Alpha got a big gap, but he spun. Alpha spun out of turn 7. He's lost his front wing, and that could be a huge chance of his first race win on his debut gone, because he spun out of turn 7, lost his front wing, and that's going to be a quick stop into the pits. Oh, and look at that, he's struggling. He spun again. It's all going wrong for him. Fateh the GOAT means that it's a McLaren 4-3 at the moment, and Yatin has got himself up in the P2. Marshy now doesn't have much pressure. No, Marshy almost spins, saved the car, but that means Fateh is going to be right on the back of him now. It's a McLaren battle here as they head down towards turn 1 now. Fateh in the slipstream with the help of DRS. It's 3 wide into turn 1. Marshy's going to have to back out. JRR wants the position. Fateh is going to let him have it, and it is Fateh who has got the move on Marshy, but in doing so has lost the position to JRR, which means they hold position. Marshy trying one into turn 3 as these guys all having a battle now, but that is released now. JRR to try and get right in the back of Yatin and continue his battle with back 2 that they've been having so many races this season. Crazy race so far, and only lap 4, and we still don't know how this race is going to plan out, but at the moment it's back 2 who is leading quite comfortably as S8 gets by Alpha. SLK going into the pit lane. Me and God the same as Alpha comes out of the pit lane onto the hard tyres and is going to probably try and go till the end. Essence Acid would love a safety car right now, but unfortunately that won't come out unless someone crashes, and at the moment, you know, someone could crash as Fateh comes round turn 13 in the back of JRR. They're going to battle here, and we'll see how close Fateh can get. He's not burning much of his ERS, so he's just going to try and stay close to JRR as both of them start to gain on Yatin, and iMarshy, who looked at a possible podium, has now dropped all the way down to P5. So we are 5 laps into this Grand Prix, which means that there's 31 to go. It's going to be an interesting Grand Prix, to say the least. As with Essence Acid, it's almost a straight away from being lapped. Me and God has set the fastest lap of the race with a 1:14.8. Now that may show that he has some quite pace around here, and if the safety car comes out, it could help him out. Essence Acid may try go till the end now on these hards, which means that he should be okay. Even if back 2 does get close and lap him, he should be able to one-lap himself, as it's almost a 4-way battle now, getting close. Oh, that's someone who's spun out. That's S8 who's spun out and has got wing damage. He's gonna let Alpha through, and it's not been the dream start for Ferrari, but JRR has done a great job in catching up to Yatin and could possibly be set for P2 here, and then maybe start his chase on back 2. We will soon find out about that, as JRR is right on the back of the Mercedes. Someone spun out again there. I think that's Essence Acid off into the gravel. He has left the session, and a virtual safety car is out. See if we can get Essence Acid back in, because we don't want that AI running around and ruining the race, as it looks like McLaren has hit the back, and it looks like I think JRR is going for the move on Yatin into turn 1. I'm commentating it as I'm watching someone get invited. Yatin down the inside, heading down towards turn 2, and JRR is up in a P2. So JRR has almost already got a second away from Yatin as well, and is now going to see if he can chase down back 2, but at the moment seems to be losing time. So back 2 has practiced well for this race and looks like he could win it, and that will put him to the top of the leaderboard. So Yatin is falling a good bit away from JRR, which means that it's looking like he's just going to have to see out his podium drive. JRR looks too quick at the moment. The top of tier 2 really could possibly be tier 1 drivers if they wanted to be. And at the moment, back 2 and JRR are having a fine time indeed at the top of this race. Alpha SLK could be the same if it wasn't for his spin there on lap 4. So the McLarens also seem to be getting a little bit closer as those mediums start to wear. Marshy is going to try and close up to Fateh, and see what will happen. So as I watch the screens, it looks like JRR is definitely getting a lot closer to back two, and that may worry back two because he knows that, and he may make a mistake, almost like a Charles Leclerc moment in France. It's been a brilliant championship battle between these two, and it's unfortunate we can't see Pentita also here today, but seeing these two battle is just as entertaining, and with J. Crow and Alpha possibly getting involved, because Alpha set the fastest lap of the race there, you can see how this will go. So yet again, JRR has made a good few tenths this lap, and it's getting closer between the two, and with back two's also his tyres wearing, and JRR has just set the fastest lap of the race as well, and it's got inside the 3-second margin. Now there's not much battles going on track at the moment, so not much really to commentate on, but just watching JRR get closer could possibly make it just a little bit more uncomfortable. It's not been a race to remember for Essence Acid. He is in P8, and with a chance of possibly a P2 or P1, he could have put himself to the top of the leaderboards, but unfortunately couldn't. But we'll see what he can get towards the end of the race. He has rejoined the session, and he is just going to see what he can do towards the end of this race if the safety car maybe does come out, because he has been lapped by almost the whole field at the moment. And there is a bit of a battle here, because Alpha SLK has gotten a lot closer to me and God than he was the previous lap. So we'll see what the Alpine driver can do. It's two Alpine drivers chasing down another, and it's Alpha SLK getting quite close to me and God here, as Essence Acid has picked up a penalty for multiple warnings and exceeding track limits. He's the first driver to do so, as Alpha heads around turn 10 now and gets his first overtaking opportunity on me and God. He's going to burn his ERS already, and with DRS he's going to pull to the outside. They're going to go side by side in turn 11, and me and God's going to take the inside line, but Alpha's going to go for maybe a little switcheroo on the run now down to turn 13. They're so close, a bit of wheel banging, and me and God done very well there just to stay in front. Alpha has seen this battle before in another league, of just being stuck behind a car and not being able to get through, but now on the main straight he should be able to get a nice tow with more ERS, and me and God derailing means that he should be able to go around the outside here and take P6 off the AlphaTauri driver. So not bad at all from Alpha. He's into P6, and me and God is down another place. Gap between back 2 and JRR seems to kind of just be the same. JRR burning a lot of battery, and you can see back 2 kind of just a little bit more cautious on the battery, and is just going to wait for his pit stop window and hopefully doesn't get screwed over by any sort of safety car or something like that. But oh, that's me and God who's gone off into the gravel. Has he got any wing damage? Crucially, he doesn't. luckily, as he went off into turn 9 there and has now lost 5 seconds to the car he was battling with. Fateh has managed just to keep just a little bit closer to Yatin, both on very similar pace, and any sort of mistake and it could be McLaren's second podium of the season. Marshy as well, he hasn't been too far behind either. He's kept himself in the periphery, meaning that if this hard tyre strategy works, he could be in a good position towards the end of the race if he sticks on the mediums. But we'll see now, with 22 laps remaining in this Grand Prix. JRR still burning his battery a lot more than back 2, and has got himself just over 2 second gap, and can now see back 2 in the distance as he heads through these short corners. You can just see the back of the Williams driver as he's heading up and around. Fateh Yatin, I think, has made a bit of a mistake, because Fateh is a lot closer to Yatin than he was in the previous lap as they head down towards turn 7 now. We will see what the McLaren is made of, because he is now within a second, both on mediums. Maybe Fateh's is a bit better. Oh, Yatin's gone really deep there, and it's allowed Fateh to come side by side here. Oh, had to kind of just check himself with a bit of oversteer going through turn 10, which means he can't get the move into turn 11, but he's still going to be right beside Yatin on the run now down towards turn 1. Fateh, can he take the lead? Back 2 into the pits on lap 16, and Fateh now with DRS. Yatin, oh, faked to come into the pit lane, didn't. Fateh is still a bit too far back, so back 2 is going to come out behind Marshy, so not bad place to come out whatsoever, and we can see now what he can do on the hard tyres. Oh, and that's going to probably be a warning for crossing the pit lane exit. He doesn't want to do another one of those, or he gets a 5-second penalty. JRR now leads the Grand Prix with the fastest lap. Fastest lap by only a tenth from his teammate, and back 2 now on the fresh tyres should be able to possibly take it off him as well. Fateh still right in the back of Yatin as they head now down towards turn 10 again, and he's within the 1 second as they head through the activation zone. And with DRS now available, he's going to use it on the run down to turn 11, but it's just going to be a bit too far back. But obviously only a short few more corners in 11, 12, 13 and 14 before they're onto the main straight. We'll see how much closer Fateh is this time, as he's already on the power. They head through turn 14. He's a lot closer this time than he was the previous lap, as Yatin is into the pit lane. Fateh is going to follow him. Oh, he's hit him. He's hit him, and Yatin is sped because of that. Now that could be overruled later in the race, and Fateh could possibly have wing damage as well. They came in way too quick there, and that could be crucial now for someone like Marshy, who's going to continue on now, and with these two battling, could possibly catch right up to them and maybe put himself on the podium. We'll see what the McLaren driver can do towards the end of this race. Has a very unlucky season so far, but at the moment it's looking fairly okay for him at the moment. I think the gap is 12 seconds to him and Yatin, but a safety car could turn that completely on its head. Fateh is a lot further back from Yatin, and I think he's got a bit of wing damage as he came into the pits there. May have to go in again, which will definitely put Marshy up a place. But they all stay out again. Marshy does not want to have back 2 behind him for much longer. Back 2 is this faster driver. He's a pit stop ahead of him, as Eston Sass has picked up another penalty for multiple warnings. He'll probably just drive until the end of this race, more than likely. So back two should also be patient himself. He is a good pit stop, a good 8 seconds ahead of him after pit stops of JRR. So he just needs to be patient and pick the right time to get ahead of Marshy. I'm sure Marshy is a smart driver. He won't put up much of a fight to the flying car of back two. But we'll see now, because back two is in a bit of a hurry to get by by Marshy, and has hit into him because of it. I don't know what his plan was there, back two, but he's cost himself a huge lot of time here to JRR, which could be crucial come the end of this race. Yatin picks up, still has his 5-second penalty that probably will be removed for speeding in the pit lane. As Marshy hadn't really done anything wrong. I don't know what back two was trying to do there. He just needed to be patient. He had the better, quicker speed than Marshy, and because of that it's also cost Marshy a lot of time. He's now 10 seconds behind Yatin. And we'll see now if something happens. Where will he finish? Fateh, I don't know if he's picked up damage because he's losing time to Yatin on the equal tyres now. Maybe it's just Yatin's tyres were wearing a lot more than Fateh's throughout that race, and now that they're both on equal tyres, they seem to be okay, but Fateh could be possibly penalised for his very dangerous entrance to the pit lane. So as back two gets a lot closer to Marshy yet again in the clean open air, he should be okay yet again on JRR, but his lead could have been a lot more than what it was if he hadn't have gone for that earlier move. And he is still a good bit behind Marshy, who is still kept himself a second, 10 seconds ahead of Yatin in case of a safety car, and obviously being on the quicker mediums come the end of the race, which their pit window starts now. That's Me and God. Me and God's definitely put himself in the barriers there. He's lost his front wing completely. He's going to try and turn himself around, which he has, but has left himself lapped now by JRR. But that should be okay because JRR still has a pit stop. And Me and God will as well to replace the front wing. We'll keep an eye on JRR because he could be into the pit lane now. We'll also have a look actually before JRR comes into the pits. Will back two go for the move here on Marshy now? DRS and ERS available. And it seems to be just a bit too far back. JRR stays out. Me and God, into the pit lane. And back two is now ahead of Marshy. So Marshy has just done the smart thing, letting them through. Doesn't want to get caught up, and is now just 10 seconds ahead of Yatin. Maybe that could be Marshy trying to go back ahead of back two and cause him a lot of problems, because Marshy is going to go round the outside into turn one and retake P2 off him. It's brilliant racing here from the two. I thought Marshy was being the sportsman-like driver, but he's not. He's just going for it. Me and God is onto the intermediates. So either it's going to rain or he's being a clown. Oh, is that back two? That is. It's back two spun out. Oh no. That could be crucial. And wing damage for the Williams. Has he crashed into Marshy? We don't know. Me and God is battling with Yatin here on the intermediates. He needs to be careful here, and Yatin has got through. But crucially, back two with wing damage, and it's now dropped 25 seconds behind JRR. Could possibly give JRR the lead of the race. He's probably going to pit now while he's still ahead, and it could possibly also mean for Marshy to jump another place and get himself up into P8 or P3. We don't know. JRR stayed out another lap. He's going to keep on staying out, and Marshy, I'm sure, is going to do the exact same and try and just stay out for as long as possible. But back two, he's gone wide as well. Oh, they're going to possibly go side by side through the banking here. Back two is more than likely going to come into the pit lane. No, he's staying out even with his wing damage. Yatin, with the faster tyres and the faster pace without wing damage, is going to take the place off back two on track and is now essentially up into net P2. This race has been crazy so far. Oh, look at him, he's gone so deep there. He's allowed me and God on the intermediates now to get quite close as well. I don't know, me and God is staying out a long time in the intermediates, and unless there's rain coming, because it is a lot damper than it was. It looks a lot damper than it was at the start of the race, but I tell you, his pace doesn't seem to be that bad, me and God, despite being lapped, and he'd want to also try stay out of the way. As back two goes wide again. I think he's trying to stay in this race. Look at him, wide he's going in every single corner. He's going to invite Fateh into this battle now, and it could be absolute heartbreak. We'll see. Blue flags being waved for me and God, as Fateh should be let by. Me and God was standing in the way, and Fateh isn't going to like that. You'd want to not ignore blue flags much longer, me and God, and let the faster car and the faster tyre through. Fateh is going to overtake him anyway, because with DRS, and that's a virtual safety car. Now why has that been brought out? Is it Alpha? He is going a lot slow. Don't think it's Essence Acid. Is it back two? It is back two. Back two's lost his front wing completely, and the virtual safety car is out. Now how long this is out for is very important, because that could possibly mean good stuff for Marshy and JRR if they get around to the pit lane in time to use this virtual safety car at the right time. Marshy should come out in P4. Oh, JRR has picked up a drive-through. Oh, this race is wide open now. JRR has picked up a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car. Oh, this is wide open. Who can win this race? I do not know. It really is. If a safety car does come out, it's lined up possibly for someone like Marshy. So me and God's let the two drivers through. Back two has no front wing. Fateh's going to have to be patient about that. Is he going to go for it? Now, JRR would want to serve this before any sort of safety car comes out, so we'll see. Is that raindrops? It is raindrops. So Fateh is into the pit lane and has sped in the pit lane, and so has back two. That is why Marshy and JRR have gone for the hards. Back two's retired, and Fateh has gone for the intermediates already. But that is the reason why Marshy and JRR must have went for the intermediates, because they knew rain was coming. So me and God was being smart here in going for the intermediates, which could be crucial possibly for Marshy, because even with JRR as well, with his drive-through penalty, could possibly put Marshy in with a chance to win this Grand Prix. It's wide open. Yatin the same if he gets his penalty, when he gets his penalty removed. Back two is out of here. He is not sticking around for much longer. He is out. JRR has picked up a penalty, speeding in the pit lane. He served his drive-through penalty, and Marshy now is probably going to come into the pit lane for the intermediate tyres. He's going to slow down nice and close. Actually very, very slowly. And Yatin is into the pit lane. He's going to serve his drive-through penalty, his 5-second penalty, which means that it can't be removed now as well. And JRR also has to serve a 5-second penalty, so this race is wide open, and we'll see when JRR pits, because I think he's also chosen the wrong time to pit, because as the rain is falling and his tyre is wearing, he could make any sort of mistake now before coming in for the intermediates. We'll see whether or not Marshy is coming at the right time. Is he gaining time on JRR? Obviously JRR with a penalty to serve. We'll see now. But Marshy has done the job, and he is currently P2 with an 8-second gap. So it should be a podium for the McLaren, all things going well with 11 laps to go. JRR obviously serving his drive-through and didn't make any sort of mistake on his in-lap here, and he should be into the pit lane for intermediates. He is. So as long as he doesn't speed in the pit lane again, he should be okay to come out in P1 again, more than likely, because Marshy is a long way away. But we'll see as they wait the 5 seconds. JRR is going to get off the hard tyres, get on the intermediates, and will come out with a good bit to spare. So Marshy want to be careful here. Me and God ahead, doesn't want to pick up damage. Me and God should see the blue flag, should let him through. JRR, it actually was a lot closer than you'd think, because JRR is only a good bit away. Now Me and God needs to let Marshy through here. What is he doing? He's not getting out of the way despite seeing the blue flags. And I'm sure Marshy is frustrated. He doesn't want Yatin to close up. Me and God has picked up a 5-second penalty for ignoring blue flags, and eventually now gets out of the way. I don't know what his plan was, Me and God. He's 28 seconds ahead of Essence Acid and 1 minute behind. He was not going to lose any time, and Marshy's gone wide now because of that, and it's possibly blown up in his chances of winning the race. But with 10 laps now to go, I hope this race ends as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, I am a Man United fan, and I would like to watch the match that's on in 3 minutes, but we'll see. It should end in about 10 laps time. Alpha SLK still remains out on the softs, so we have had rain today. Last time Essence Acid did finish P2 was a rainy track. So he's 7 seconds clear of Yatin and 7 seconds away, well 8 seconds away from JRR, which means that despite all the drama with JRR, with drive-thrus, with everything, he has stayed in P1. Back 2 is going to be infuriated with himself on how he's got that damage. Has it been with Marshy? A collision with Marshy? I don't know. The first one definitely wasn't Marshy's fault, but how he's picked up the other one where he spun into turn 3, that could be possibly investigated. But at the moment, it's still looking all good for JRR and his chances of taking the championship lead going into Christmas. Obviously looking going into Christmas, SLR Quattro, being Dutch in his home track, got picked up the is first going into Christmas, so he'll be happy with that. And JRR could be the exact same. Also, because of the results, Marshy could possibly get himself up into the top 5 if he manages to stay where he is. Yatin is closing in, but is also going to be pressured by his team, by Marshy's teammate Fateh, who is going to want to get nice and close to Yatin and put as much pressure on him as he can. Alpha is right in the back of him, but as DRS has just been disabled there, Alpha should be into the pit lane for intermediate tyres soon. We'll see whether or not that will happen. He's actually gained a lot here on Fateh, and before he's even got into the pits, he's just going to breeze by the McLaren driver and go up into P4. Now can he get up into P3 possibly now as well? Maybe it's just not quite time for intermediates and everyone's gone in a bit too early, because now look who's right on the back of the Mercedes. It is Alpha, who's going to try and get by Yatin. Obviously wants to close in on Marshy, but under pressure from the Alpine could do Marshy a huge favour here. We'll see. Maybe Alpha didn't mean to go onto the soft tyres, but it's definitely worked out well for the time he's been on it. He's going to go down the inside into turn 9, and on what is pretty much the crossover period now, these two going side by side, intermediates versus softs, and on the exit it's looking like softs are the faster tyre. Alpha up into the podium here, but look at Yatin possibly going to try go for it again. The rain is drying, is wet, is coming down very lightly. And that could be big, because does that mean Alpha can stay out? Obviously on Monday night Quattro said that this track dries up very slowly, and as rain stopped around lap 20, it didn't take until lap 36 when dries with a faster tyre, and SLR Quattro went a full race on intermediates. Does that mean that the track gets damp very slowly as well? and Alpha could be on the faster tyre for the majority of the end of this race. We'll find out about that now in a few moments, because Fateh is right on the back of Yatin. These two are battling on equal tyres, intermediates, and Fateh is going to want to do his teammate a huge favour here and see what the McLaren can do. Can he overtake Yatin, or even just possibly put a load of pressure on him to give his teammate the podium? Yatin spun! Yatin's lost it! I was just looking at the chats there, and Yatin has lost it out of turn 8, and that is perfect. Lightening up the eyes of Imarshi and Fateh, who now possibly have a potential podium on the line, as this track does seem to be getting a lot wetter, and that means that Alpha shouldn't be gaining much time on Imarshi for much longer. As me and God shows that this track is dampening up, he is going to battle side by side with Alpha as they head now down through up in the turn 3, but Alpha does stay ahead. But look how damp the track is getting. It's definitely unavailable for softs anymore, and Alpha SLK is going to end up like Lando Norris, and he's going to spin off and end up into one of the gravel traps either there, or possibly, a lot of people have been struggling into turn 9. And can he go off there? Blue flag's waving for me and God to get out of the way for Fateh, and he possibly should now, as Fateh is closing up on a potential first podium as well for McLaren. This could be an amazing day for McLaren as well as an amazing day for Alpine. Me and God gets out of the way. Fateh is through. Alpha seems to be doing alright for now, but as you can see, he's not gaining at all on Marshy anymore. Well, actually he's gaining ever so slightly, but I think that's more Marshy keeping it cautious. He's not using his ERS at all. It's a full battery. I'm sure he's going to use it on the straights when he can. Just going to focus on trying to keep it on the track, but Alpha's struggling. He's going to try to stay out, but with Fateh closing up and on the faster tyre, it should be McLaren's day on the podium rather than Alpine's. Look at this, me and God. He doesn't care. He's going back through a lot of them, and it's going to re-overtake a lot of them. The back marker doesn't give a shit. He thinks he's faster, and in doing so, gets through. Now, if he wants to be faster, he's going to have to be, because he's going to have to get a lot further ahead of them and not get involved in this battle. Here they go. They're battling again on the road up. Alpha's struggling like hell now at the moment, as they head down. Essence Acids put on new intermediates and a new front wing. But Alpha definitely is struggling. He's gone off, and that's Fateh into the podium. And even with his 5 seconds of penalties, it's going to mean that Fateh is going to take home a podium. But obviously with his 5 seconds of penalties, means Yatin could possibly take home the podium, as long as he stays within 5 seconds. This has been a crazy race, and we'll see if Fateh tries to get away from Yatin. Either that, or he backs him up and tries to make sure that Marshy has no chance of losing this podium. So JRR starts the 32nd lap of this Grand Prix, which means there's 5 to go. Essence Acid gets out away from him, so he's just done enough Essence Acid to take home 6 points today, which I'm sure he'll be happy enough with to keep him in, I think, P3. Oh no, is it P3? To keep him, yes, in P3 for Christmas time, which is obviously a lot close as you would want to be if he wants to try and get into Tier 1 next season. So Alpha comes out of pit lane. He has given up. The track is too damp, and he has crossed the white line again, has picked up 5 seconds of penalties, but that doesn't really matter because he's going to finish P5 nonetheless. A good recovery drive. He was in pole position, and he showed his pace there with his good battling with Fateh and Yatin. But also, as shown there, he can make a mistake. He made a mistake. I think dropped the last at one point, or maybe it was second last, and has got himself back in the P5. So not a bad drive from Alpha. and also crucially has made sure he didn't get lapped. Or has he got lapped? I think he actually has got lapped. No, he hasn't. The only people lapped are me and God, and of course Essence Acid I think has been lapped twice, unfortunately. But it's Imershi who's looking to take home his second podium in his RSL / CTCR career. The lovely green helmet I see through his car. I've never seen him rock that before, so I'm guessing that's the first time he's rocked it here in Netherlands, and going into Christmas he'll be happy that he's taken on one podium at least, as long as he keeps it on track for the last 4 laps of this race. Fateh is gaining on Yatin. Is he gaining enough to make it 2 McLarens on the podium? Me and God has picked up another penalty for ignoring yellow flags because he's in the middle of that McLaren and Mercedes, and maybe that's why Yatin is going to be absolutely infuriated here by me and God, because he has picked up a lot of penalties and may pick up a lot more for obviously ignoring these blue flags and not letting the Mercedes through to try and have a battle with the McLaren. And all of his driving means that Yatin could possibly be costed a podium here. But if Fateh is punished for his pit lane incident, it should mean that Yatin will maybe get the podium after all. We will soon find out about that. Three laps to go. JRR started lap 34. Yatin has finally got ahead of me and God, but only has 5/10 now to try and stay within those 5 seconds of Fateh and make it a Mercedes McLaren Alpine podium instead of McLaren. We'll find out whether that will happen or not in just a few laps time. Who has the faster pace? Is it Fateh? Is it Yatin? We don't know yet, but we will find out. Me and God and all his shenanigans has made sure that he is now all the way back behind the Mercedes and a lot further away. We'll soon find out about that. JRR crosses the line for the second last lap of this race, and Fateh crucially picks up a 3-second penalty for exceeding track limits, and that's surely his podium gone. He just got ahead of the 5 seconds there, but now he has to get another 3 in order to gain ahead of Yatin, and Yatin just needs to keep up his pace that he's setting at the moment, and he should be okay here on the second last lap of this race. But the drive of the day, despite what Alpha's done from the back and is spinning out and everything, the drive of the day has to go to JRR, has started last with his quali ban. He has said, I do not care where I'm starting, I am going to finish this race first. Every single time he's finished a race on track, he has won the race. The only exception being Abu Dhabi, but that was lost after the report. He has finished a race in P1 every single time this season, and as he starts his final lap of the race, we will soon find out, will it be a second win of the season for JRR, and will it be top of the standings at Christmas time for a 2-week break at New Year's and of course Christmas Day. So as it looks like there's yellow flags from, I thought that was Yatin, it's me and God, but it could be Yatin. He's dropped out of 8 places, he's ran out of fuel. Yatin's ran out of fuel, and that means that he will not have his podium after all, and could actually, with a lap to go, lose out to Alpha, and that means that Alpha could pick up P4 instead. So it means that the race has gone to plan for Fateh and McLaren. Both of them will finish on the podium, but as JRR enters Sector 3 for the second time this season, he is going to finish the race with the fastest lap, and as he goes into Christmas time, the Alpine driver is going to take the lead of the championship. Round the banking now, it's JRR for the second time this season is going to win a Grand Prix. He wins the Dutch Grand Prix and goes to the top of the standings at Christmas time. And, well, you can't see it, but there is a big smile on my face, because for the first time this season and the second time in his career, Marshy is going to cross the line and finish on the podium along with his teammate in Fatea to go on his RSL debut. Both of them on the podium. Alpha SLK does get ahead of Yatin, who ran out of fuel, and also pick up P4. The Alpine driver just done what he needed to do and has done enough today for 12 well earned points. He actually picked up the fastest lap, not JRR, apologies. Me and God picks up P6, which Aston's Acid enough to pick up 6 points today. And Yatin on his debut, it could have been a podium if he had not ran out of fuel, but he took the risk, and that risk didn't pay off. But still, a solid 10 points to bring home for McLaren. What an interesting race, a huge twist in the title contenders, which has put JRR ahead by only 4 points to Pentita, as long as there is no penalties applied. But winning a race by 12 odd seconds, unless he picks up 20 seconds for doing absolutely nothing, JRR has won his second race of the season. So, JRR, the British driver, wins the Dutch Grand Prix. I'm Marshy in P2, Fatea in P3, Alpha and Yatin, the two German guys, finished 4 and 5. Me and God, the American, in P6. Essence has done enough just to finish P7 and bring home 6 points for Ferrari, with back to an S8 retiring from the race. It's been an amazing race for me to watch, and I do actually really start to enjoy commentating on Tier 2 races now. Obviously, almost like yesterday, it's the opposite, as it went from dry to wet instead of wet to dry, and in doing so JRR has gone from 9th to 1st. I hope you have enjoyed this race as much as I have. This has been RSL in 2022, and we will see you next year.